Today the weather isn't up to much. I was going to go for a hike. I'm looking out the window and I can still see trees moving around. Weather doesn't really bother me, but today I just didn't feel it and had a few things to do in the workshop. But that led me to have a little look as I was walking past a customer stick I finished burning yesterday, and I gave it its coat of boiled linseed oil. I contacted the customer and asked, do they want it as a boiled linseed finish or a polyurethane, which is like a type of varnish finish, or a clear varnish, and they've requested it be in a boiled linseed oil finish. That is becoming more popular. I think it's because people are trying to avoid petrochemicals, and indeed boiled linseed oil still has chemicals in it to help it dry out and go off, if you want to use those terms, but it doesn't have the full constituents of a petrochemical item. Saying that, I will have to and start investigating the possibilities of getting a fully how can I use the word, organic or green boiled linseed, or a linseed oil which will go off, should we say, in the conditions I use it. So that's a project for the near future. But anyway, that particular item I was discussing, that custom stick, I thought it'd be nice for you to see how I clarify a custom stick compared to one of my stock sticks. Now, people could get confused and say, what is the difference just looking at it as a general item? But once I walk you around the item and discuss it, you will fully see what clarifies it in my particular circumstances and production methods as a custom item, and how it's relevant and individual to a particular customer. Right, I'm just going to walk you around a generic stick that I've manufactured for my stall outside my property, and ones I take to sales, craft fairs, and indeed anywhere of that sort of vein. Now, when I say generic, obviously it's an individual item still, and it's been made from a piece of wood that's been seasoned, and it's had a small bit of artwork, a little bit of boiled, very light boiled linseed undercoat that's allowed to go off, and then I top coat it with polyurethane. The reason I do that is because if this is outside on my stall, it has more durability, it has slightly better UV protection, and on top of that, it's slightly more of a robust finish with that polyurethane, as in keeping water at bay, and shall I say, just giving it a little bit more of a robustness against the weather conditions when it's left on the stall. Now, having said that, not like I've just alluded to, a lot of my custom items are gone pretty much over to just a boiled linseed oiled finish, and that is because you get to feel the wood, the grain, it feels more natural, and it has a better feel to the hand. Polyurethane is like a varnish, as I've described, but that also leads you, when you're holding it, you can feel the wood, but you do lose that close contact and feel to the wood. It's basically as if you painted your wooden banisters at home. You feel the paint, you don't actually feel the wood underneath. But yeah, so you know, my customers on a lot of the custom orders, like I said, have gone over because they specifically require that, and that item will be used, cleaned and put in a dry place straight away once they've used it. So the boiled linseed oil finish serves that stick good. This, on the other hand, might do days if not weeks, being placed on stalls, outside my property, craft fairs. It has to withstand very little attention and being left, shall we say, in the elements like rain and the sun. So generically I do give them just a coat of polyurethane or two on top to allow it to survive those conditions. Right then, so let's get straight into it. So basically it's a stick I've straightened as I've described. The finishes put on it. One of my stock sticks will carry my logo. Obviously it's going to come around the wrong way because I'm the way I'm videoing it. Folklore, it'll have a single piece of artwork as a rule, although some won't, because obviously you've got to cater for people who don't want artwork. So you'll have a piece of artwork, a generic size lanyard, and about an 1.5 inch piece of should we say copper tip on the end. So that is pretty much wraps up what one of my generic sticks is. And obviously it's manufactured from the stick I've had at hand and the size I look at it and I feel I can get my best dimensions and, shall we say, get the best section of that particular stick from it to make my hiking stick. I you know, work out all the equations and then I come up with the stick produced from that raw material. So then I end up with this, and that is my generic one, and that will go out on the stall. Right, I'm now holding a custom item in my hand here now. Now, it's got some lettering, which I'll quickly show you very quickly there. I'm not going to show you the rest because that's private to the individual concerned. But you can get the message that I've actually do the writing, what the customer wants and what they want to purvey on the stick. They've requested it word for word, and basically it's monkey see, monkey do. They send it to me and I do it verbatim what they want on the stick. Now, where I get a little bit of license is they give me the gender and they also give me the height and possibly the weight or rough weight, and that from there I manufacture the stick to those requirements. But yeah, so for a custom item they've obviously got the wording which they wanted to purvey to the individual, and on top of that, or as they wanted, you know, if it's not a present it can be something that's relevant to them. Like I said, I've had sticks celebrating, shall we say, their pets' lives and things like that I've made. And on top of that, you know, it could be anything they want on that stick, you know, it could be anything. But yeah, I've got an over 2 inch piece of copper tip there. That looks really nice. And when you're out and about, that really does glisten and shine in the sunlight. And it really does look quite smart when you're out and about. And as you can see, I've got a nice little songbird there. That was requested. It was kind of a forest woodland theme they wanted. Acorns with oak leaves. There is a nice little blackbird there with some ivy running up the shaft at the back of the writing, leading down to another songbird and some more oak leaves and acorns. That then flows up into the handle, and I've got a nice peaked handle here. Now, on top of that, I spend a little bit more time on the actual finishing of the wood. All my sticks are finished to a set kind of standard. That is just a given because obviously you're selling to the public. But when you're doing a custom item, as with everything in life, you invest that fraction more, which I have done on this stick and indeed all my other custom ones. And it's because obviously you're paying more for my time. So basically more time has been invested in this, and I'm in return investing more time in the ultimate overall finish. So yeah, this has a slightly more shall we say polished, kind of smooth kind of, the wood's been finished and worked, shall we say, to a slightly higher grade than my general stock ones, even though those are, in my opinion, worked to a very high standard, but I just take it that little notch or two up. I also then have a slightly longer lanyard, which allows a greater degree of shall we say, adjustment and hand configurations holding the rope. So, or lanyard, shall I say. So yeah, my custom items then can come with either the polyurethane finish or the oil finish, as I've alluded to, and I always discuss with the customer what they're potentially doing with the stick. Like I said, most seem to be going towards oil, because I'll be blatantly honest with you, how many people are just going to have a hiking stick and leave outdoors in all weather conditions anyway? Whatever weather conditions they use it, it's more likely going to come indoors and it's going to be cleaned and put in a nice dry safe place for the next outing or time they're out and about. So oiled hiking stick is, shall we say, usually the go. But they do have that option, and that's what a custom stick is. The customer gets the option. Now, on top of that, I will actually send a custom item myself if it's a present to the individual. So it's come from myself, and I can drop off, and I can have people pick up from me, and indeed I always confirm at every stage by photographs to the customer, you know, what the stick is, so they can say, oh, do you know what, I'd like an extra oak leaf down there if I could please. Oh, I've changed my mind with the wording, can you stick I don't know, something else, or tag something else on the end, and I can do that before I go to and complete the finish. So I provide a complete service to that person if they're getting a custom stick in that vein. Obviously this one here is what I would call one of my top line ones for a custom stick, without going towards putting shall we say, an ornamental piece of antler on there, or even going as far as doing a thumbstick with a piece of antler. That obviously is the next stage up in a custom stick for myself, but this is pretty much my top line for a basic hiking stick, and you know, they're always well received, so I'm more than happy with my product that I send out the door. Yeah, in conclusion, if you found me at a stall, a craft fair, or indeed bought one from my stall outside my property, you will have come, seen, measured up, looked at the various sticks that are there, and shall we say, and the offerings, and you will then have picked one up that suits you and your needs and purchased it and made your way home. But if you're getting a custom package from me, I do try to offer the complete package, from the conception, what you're looking for, how it's going to be used, and indeed who, you know, any attributes that need to be put into the build of the stick, and then take it from that to, shall we say, the finish, what finishes they require. On top of that, any lettering, wording, artwork, and indeed go through the whole process like that. And then even to the finishing stages, I will, like I say, send a photograph off before I do the finishing on the stick to the customer, so that you know, they can actually get a handle what it's going to look like, and if there's any changes happening, and we can do it at that stage and rectify it before we go any further. I've always found being honest is the best policy as regards of what I can do, when I can do it, and indeed what I'm doing to the stick. If I'm requested to do a particular dog as it's a treasured pet, I will always be open and honest to say I'll do my very best representation of a a poodle, I'll do my very best representation, and in that way, you know, everybody's open and honest and everybody knows what's actually happening. And so far I've had no shall we say disappointment or complaints as to regard what I'm actually producing. People understand I'm producing my very best representation, and it always seems to shall we say worked, and it always seems to have been of what the customer has expected. And indeed I've had, you know, nothing but compliments on how it actually turns out. So honesty is the best policy as to regard to what you're doing if you're doing a custom order. That being said, if it comes to actually, you know, the end product and how that's going to get to its destination, I have sent these items off for the particular customer. Obviously that does cost on top of that. Or indeed, like I say, I'll be flexible as in when it's being picked up, or shall we say shipped to somebody, and I'll work around basically with negotiation. And that is the complete custom package, as I can say. You know, if you're offering a custom product and custom service, it all comes as one, and you actually work to the letter to try and give that customer that particular feel. So I hope you can see the difference there between the two sticks, and indeed I hope that there's enough insight into the difference between my generic and my custom sticks so that you can see that there is a distinct difference between those two sets of items. So yeah, all that's left for me to say is all the best, and happy hiking. Yeah, before I do sign out, I just thought it's worth mentioning that I am a one-man band. So that obviously comes with the limitations on time, as I do have a family, and I have, shall we say, the commitments, shall we say, work commitments elsewhere as well. So obviously there is only so much I can do, and only so much I will take on, because at the end of the day, as I said, you have to be honest. There's no point, you know, saying you'll do this and that, and then you cannot fulfill that particular commitment that you've made. So always be open and honest, and this is the key in this particular game. And like I said, it's worked out for me, and like I've alluded to on a previous video, I believe that one Christmas we were working up until, or should we, waiting for pickups till about 7:30 on Christmas Eve. This year we did actually stop at about a week before Christmas, and the last ones were, shall we say, disappearing off about 2 or 3 days before Christmas Eve, which was a lot better scenario for us. And obviously you have to, like I say, manage your time, manage your resources, and manage the expectations of the customers and everybody involved, and with a little healthy dose of respect all the way around, and honesty, everything seems to work out okay. And I believe that is possibly the philosophy that you should adopt if you're a small-time crafter.